So, you probably clicked on this video thinking that your university degree is kind of useless and this is not what you want to do in the future. Well, you're in luck. As someone who was in the exact position as you were in probably 2 months ago, let me give my 2 cents on this. So those of you who just clicked on this video and need some words of encouragement, I've got 3 for you. 1. You are not wasting your time at all. Every step you take, more or less, will take you to the right direction, even if you feel like they're not getting results. Number 2, make sure that you're not giving up just because things are hard. Sometimes it's not easy, and you just gotta work through it. Number 3, I want you to look at your experiences and sort of make a list of what you like and what you don't like about it. Sometimes it's easier to find what you hate and work backwards from there. So, I hope that helped, but if you're looking for someone who would love to share a story with you, stick around and listen to it. So, back in 2018, I still had no idea what I wanted to do in the future, right? I don't think anybody does, and it's kind of ridiculous that kind of pressure is put on young people to just decide based on their limited knowledge of this world. But anyways, I was a young brat back then, and my goal, for the most part, was to just get into university and figure things out from there. So that's when I decided to go for the architectural engineering program offered at the University of Waterloo. To keep a long story short, it was really fun for the first year and a half. I met a lot of great people there. I mean, they're still my friends to this day. And, the projects and courses were challenging, but they were fun. Up until sort of the second year when we had to take this sort of timbers design class. Now, that was not my favorite because, of the sort of process that we used to solve these problems. I know many of my classmates said they quite enjoyed that, but for me, I just found the idea of solving problems by looking them up in a table and then just plugging in the numbers here and there just seemed very mundane and very tedious to me. Long story short, I felt my soul being kind of drained from me as I was doing those problems. And I guess that was the sort of start where I kind of asked myself if this is what I was doing for a job 5 years down the line, I would not be having it. But okay, I stuck with my program, and fast forward a couple months later when, I was on my 3rd co-op experience. And this co-op experience was not it. Again, I hate to go into the details, but essentially what I was doing was just kind of trivial work. This co-op was definitely not one of the best experiences that I've ever had. And to be frank with you, I just don't think I enjoyed the style of working. The shifts were quite long. It required me to get up at sort of ungodly hours, and it was the sort of work that you go in and then you kind of turn your brain off and not really think about things. And this is, again, when I started to question if this is what I'll be doing, would I truly be sort of enjoying what I was doing? Luckily, this co-op experience kind of just jolted me awake in a sense, and I decided to do a lot of thinking. So I reached out to an old mentor of mine, and he gave me some really good advice on this entire thing. And he basically said that no job will ever be this perfect job that we're all imagining it to be. So then he said, instead of looking at what you want to do, look at the opposite scenario. Look at what you hate, and look at what are those hard no's. So I want you to do this with me. So go grab a piece of paper and a pen. No, seriously, go. You got one? Okay, perfect. So on this piece of paper, I would like to write down every sort of relevant experience that you think you had. It could be academic related. It could be, your part-time job at the local sushi restaurant. It could be whatever, right? School projects, courses, anything, you name it. And the next thing I want you to do is sort of write down with me what you loved about that experience and what you hated about it. Now, I know this is the case, but you'll soon see that the hate list is actually a lot, let's say, bulkier than what you'd like to do. And this is completely normal, but just keep writing. So once you've got this big list, right, identify which ones in the hate column are hard no's, right? So for me, it was sort of working in a situation where I had my brain turned off and I was just doing trivial tasks. I know some people would really enjoy that, but just not me. And to be fair, to each their own, right? it's why we're making this list. So once you've compiled this big list of sort of what you hate and what you love, and what are just straight up not negotiable for you, things that you accept will just naturally start to emerge. So the next step to do is basically just to talk to people. Almost everyone around you probably has some job of the sort, right? Go talk to them, or even better, just get them to let you follow them around for like a day. So if you follow people around for a day, you'll just see what their job is like on a day-to-day basis. For example, I know that the media often depicts lawyers as, people just battling it out in court and, saying all these things. But in reality, I think the majority of lawyers, again, correct me if I'm wrong, just kind of sit and read documents. So what I'm trying to get at, it's important to see what, the vast majority of people in these kinds of jobs actually do. And then lastly, just see if you would also be willing to kind of do that. Just a quick shameless self-promotion. Hopefully I'll get around to making more videos just asking what people do like this, so that you guys have a better understanding of some professions out there. So then once you've done your research, it's actually very hard to make a wrong decision at that point, because every sort of choice you make will ultimately kind of be the right one. So once you've found a person or a profession that you'd like to do, it's very simple from now on. You just got to keep your head down and actually kind of do it. Now, in theory, that sounds very easy for me to say, but it's true, right? Sometimes you just got to put in the effort like that. Now, the best case scenario is that if you have someone to sort of guide you on this path, that would be all for the better. But if you don't, I know there's plenty of resources out there that you can search. And hopefully I'll release a video sooner or later just kind of discussing those steps in general and how you should kind of approach these. Now, the whole reason why I didn't do all of this earlier is because I had these sort of self-doubts that were kind of holding me back. And at the end of the day, you might have the same ones as me, so I thought I'd take some time and just kind of address my thoughts on them. Now, one of the biggest things holding me back was this sort of idea that if I did abandon my program, it would sort of be like flushing down my 4 years down the drain. I was so scared that if I chose a new career path for myself, all the time that I invested in sort of architectural engineering would kind of go to waste. And the sort of mindset that kind of helped me get through it is that thinking these steps I took were not necessarily in the wrong direction. I feel like as people, we often undervalue this sort of the process and the time it takes for us as human beings to just figure things out. And just because these steps you take doesn't get the results that you want, doesn't necessarily mean they're wasted steps at all. And I know this might sound extremely cheesy, but of course, experiences just simply don't go to waste, right? They're time invested into something or the other, and everything, more or less, is quite transferable. The other fear that I had was if I start a new career path, all of these things that I've learned will sort of go to waste and I'll be starting and struggling at the bottom again. Now, this one is actually a fear, but it's very easy to answer, and the answer is that it was never going to be easy, right? If it were easy, we'd all just have what we want with no effort, and doesn't that sound great? And it might be a long time before you actually see the results of your actions. But if you clicked on this video and you thought that your life could be somewhat better and you're just kind of stuck right now, I'm just a big believer of that if you sort of put your head down and do it, you'll achieve it no matter what. But yeah, that's it for me. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll open the floor for anyone who just wants to share their experiences or give advice. And yeah, that's it. All right, till the next one. Goodbye.